May the road rise up to meet you, and the wind be on your back. May the sun shine warm upon you, and the rain fall gently down.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're at week 34 of the series, and that will cover days 224 to 230. Or if you have the edition of the Road Rising that follows the calendar, then you'd be looking at August 12th to August 18th. The week begins when friend's son has what he thinks is a dream, but the details of the dream convince his father that this is the real deal. Jake appears to the young man, tells him not to be afraid, that he was sent by God, and that his father's arm was going to be healed, and that he would be restored to full strength. Then he had a message. Tell your dad, remember that mountain? You're invited. And rather than expound on a lot of thoughts and conversations that transpired that week, let me go straight to August 14th, day 226. It was still dark, but I knew it was morning. The camp was silent, but from all around me I could hear the sounds of waking, hushed conversations, a fire being built, the occasional rattle of dishes. No one would be staying in bed this morning. I rose up against my will and finished packing my belongings. If ever there was a day when I did not want to see the sunrise, this was it. How could I leave this place of peace and joy and take my son away to a mountaintop in order to watch him die? As I dressed, I prayed, Lord, just take me home now. Take us both. Please don't make me face this future. But my prayer was not answered, and I stepped out of the tent to see my son already waiting by the fire. Lizzie had given him something to eat, and Hank was talking softly. I joined them and said, looks like we'll get an early start today. No one said anything. The sky was turning a dark shade of blue when my son spoke up. Guess we'd better be going, huh? Yeah, I guess so. How do you feel? Great, he said. It's hard to believe I'm even sick. The lump in my throat threatened to choke the life out of me. I couldn't think of anything to say, so gave him a pat on the shoulder instead. By now the entire camp had turned out, waiting silently for our departure. Pastor McCallum went to my son, spoke a few words of encouragement, then turned to me. If God allows, I'll meet you somewhere up there, he said. Until then, don't forget how much he loves you both, even when it doesn't seem like it. Stay on the trail, no matter what, and come back to us as soon as you possibly can. We'll be praying for you every day. I thanked him, gave my son a nod, and we turned to leave. As we moved into the shadow of the woods, a song drifted up from the meadow behind us. Till we meet, God be with you, till we meet again. For an expanded version of this part of the story, you can look at the first book I ever wrote. It's called Looking for a Lamb, and it's another analogy based on the story of Abraham and Isaac as they go up the mountain where the father has been told to sacrifice his son. Isaac comments on the firewood they're carrying for a sacrifice, but notices there is no lamb. Abraham answers, God will provide a lamb. I've wondered about that answer for years. Whatever the answer from a father's perspective, I can't help but believe that Abraham was hoping against hope that somehow something would happen to avoid the unthinkable. The Bible tells us that in the end, Abraham is in the act of bringing the knife down on his son when God does intervene. But on the way up, I also can't help but believe that the enemy was there, trying with everything in his arsenal to dissuade the poor man from obeying God. And the temptations he may have offered Abraham look amazingly like the stages of grief we all experience when our world falls apart. That made up the story of Looking for a Lamb. You'll see elements of the same temptations here over the next few days. Please take them to heart. They will help prepare you for the valleys ahead and just might come in handy when you encounter a fellow pilgrim lost in grief. The trail goes up from here, but stay the course. You'll be blessed. Y'all come back now here. My shock at hearing words coming from an animal was short-lived. After all, this was a journey I had never experienced before. This mountain in particular seemed to hold more mystery than I could fathom.